Hi everyone. My name is Gauri, and I have been a disciple of Stan since 2016 fall. That's when I guess bunch of us started, getting interested in astrophotography, and thanks to Stan, so all this passion and interest was kindled by him when I met him once at Lincoln Center, when he was observing with other AAA members. With that, so I'm going to be talking about the total lunar eclipse imaging that I did from Los Angeles. This was on Jan 20th, 2019. So I happened to be there with a different plan, but it ended up to be totally different. So meaning, I wanted to always image something cool from a national park. So my thought was I'll be there in Joshua Tree National Park and have this really nice Joshua tree in the foreground, and I'll be imaging total lunar eclipse. Doing a composite and whatnot along with that as a subject foreground, or at least I'll be in Griffith Observatory, so have some kind of a purpose or meaning for what I have in the foreground. But then the plans all ruined because the eclipse was on Sunday night, uh, and I flew to LA Saturday early morning, and everything was fine. Very bright and sunny, hot, and I was like, okay, I'm in for at last for a really good astronomical event. But then, as soon as Sunday morning came up, it was completely overcast. Uh, Not a pinch of blue punch, in the sky. I was like, okay, I'm here to just go to Hollywood Walk of Fame, and so I had no idea. Like, I was totally demotivated, and I had a lot of equipments that I wanted to test. I just like screw all those. I'm not going to do anything, and we dropped the plan of going to Joshua Tree. And then we also dropped the plan of going to Griffith, because Griffith Observatory, as it is, attracts huge crowd, uh, and of course it was a big astronomical event. So we, like my friend who stays in LA, he told that it's not a good idea to go to Griffith. So then eventually we ended up going to my friend's rooftop, which actually is close to Griffith Park and looks like kind of southeast. So then I thought, okay, we'll just go there and set up our gear, and we will see if we can get clear skies. We'll uh, image. Otherwise, we'll just hang around there until we'll see a phase of eclipse showing up and just image that. So So most of my images, you will see wide angle images. They won't have any good foreground. So I decided to make people as a foreground. So again, inspired by Stan's wide angle shots in North South Lake and also in Big Bend. So most of my wide angle shots were having, me, my friend, and my friend's friend at the foreground. So this is one of the image taken during the totality. And if you could see, we are all pointing to the moon, like around 8:41 PST. So, few things I wanted to tell. I don't have a presentation, unfortunately, so I'll just be going back and forth between images. So I'll set few context of exposures and stuff, and then I will just explain the images in the order I've planned. So, so the cameras I used, there were actually four cameras I used. So one 5D Mark IV, which was fitted with 100 to 400 telephoto lens, that was set up on an Ioptron Skyguider, which was actually tracking the moon. So I was able to image the close-up shot of the moon throughout to the phase of the eclipse using that setup. The other one was the wide angle. So this one was shot on Canon 5D Mark III, 16 to 35 on 16 So I just wanted to take the whole ascent of the moon from the partial phase up to the totality and how much ever I could take. And the other one was set up on a portrait mode. I wanted to see how farther I can go. So that was again a Canon 5D Mark III on a 24 to 70 mm on a 24 mm. And the fourth camera, which was my first time, the newest find, and I don't know why I bought it, but I just thought it was pretty cool. It's a 360-degree GoPro Fusion. I thought I like to do this kind of stereographic uh, projections, which shows like a little planet. So I thought it will be pretty cool to do a time lapse. So I'll be showing the video of that too. And I shot some totality pictures using that as well. And the typical exposures were ISO 400 f8 1,000th of a second to 2 second every 30 seconds, depending on the phase of the eclipse. And for the GoPro, I had it on ISO 800, 8 seconds night lapse mode every 30 seconds. And the total images, including GoPro, all the time lapses and everything, it took me like around 3,800 images to take. And I struggled a lot doing post processing. It took me freaking 12 days to complete all of them. So I'm glad I'm done and it's out of my way. So moving on. So I'm going to show the timeline. So the moonrise was like around 4:55 p.m. And then so we were all waiting to see where the hell is the moon. So it was again, I told it was completely cloudy, no sight of the moon, and this is the part of the range which belongs and has a thing called Mount Darwin. It's somewhere over here. It's not visible, but then it was pretty cool to see in Jan, like LA was pretty hot, but just like a few miles towards east, you can see the snow-capped mountains. So I thought it was pretty cool. And as you can see, it's all pretty still very diffused and hazy. But then this was the first glimpse of the moon, which I saw around 5:11 p.m. So the moonrise was at 4:55, but it was like probably around 5 or 6 degrees, maybe like around 4 to 5 degrees when the moon was just above the snow cap peak. So I thought it was a pretty interesting sight. And right after this, the moon was gone. So the next appearance was like around 6:13 p.m. So we thought like, okay, it's a good time for us to maybe have some snacks. And we were thinking of ordering some good food because the night is ruined already. So till 6:15, there was no sight of the moon. So we were like, okay, whatever. We'll just wait for another few, 45 minutes. If it's still like this, we'll be gone. But then something like changed after 6:15. This the clouds slowly started moving, and I could see the moon's glow slowly from faint to bright to a big blob, and then eventually it started becoming very clear. And it was right around the penumbral eclipse time, which was like from around 6:30 to 7:33 p.m. So right from there on, there were intermediate passage of clouds, mostly during totality, but then I don't know what happened. It was like almighty or whatever. Like it was just like completely clean and spectacular view of the moon. And I'm going to show you a time lapse of what I described. You can actually see how the clouds go away and then come back in. So with that, I'm going to move to a time lapse video. So I'm going to show you first the wide angle, which shot with my GoPro Fusion 360. So it covers the complete passage right from the first time I saw the moon show up above the horizon till the end of penumbral eclipse, where I stopped imaging like around 11 p.m. and the penumbral eclipse stopped like around 11:50 p.m. So, so as you can see, this is the GoPro Fusion behind us. You can see these are all my tripod. And then This one is telephoto. So the telephoto which I can catch using this, I think it's actually tracking the loop. So, so I was able to like correlate the time stamp of the events so that the faces match what. So, so that was a short time lapse, and to zoom in a bit, this video which I took from the penumbral to the penumbral. So as you can see, there is so much of haze, cloud, whatnot. The moon was just looking like a blot in the sky, and I have mentioned the time where the phases are happening, and this is shot with my on 400. So yeah, so that's that. Yeah. Okay, I'll come to that. Unfortunately, I don't have that frame. So I was taking all the images, as I said, every 30 seconds. And then I saw it happened like around 8:41 p.m. PST and 35 seconds. And my camera registered 10 seconds before that. So 30 seconds after that was the next frame. So I was really hoping that I would have captured it, but I just didn't. So probably I should have taken a video. So probably that's a learning for the next imaging. But yeah, it is what it is. uh, so moving on. So the next one was the totality images, which I wanted to show. So as I mentioned to you guys, like there was no good foreground. I'll show you this. So this is looking east. So over there, is the downtown area. And they were all tiny on a wide angle. So I just couldn't see anything. And plus, the moon was really high up. It was around 41 degrees. So however wide you go, there was no good composition. So I just thought I'm going to be hanging around with my friends. So this is one of the frame from the time lapse video I showed from my GoPro Fusion. So if you see over there, I'm pointing. We are all pointing towards the moon during the totality. So this is the frame, and this exact frame captured on my camera is this during the totality. And there are a few other bright stars here. I think it is Sirius. Over here, I'm not sure. So the thing is, it's all JPEG, so I couldn't control the exposure much. They say they have a raw setting, but then the raw setting is only during the daytime time lapse. So I just left all the JPEGs as is. But yes, it does look really bright. I tried changing the JPEG, but it kind of looked weird, so I just left it that way. So this was, yeah. So coming to this, so this was one of the frame with my wide angle capture. And oh, I asked them to. So it is a little bit manipulated, but I thought it was still pretty cool. So my friend's girlfriend showed up right on time of totality. So I thought it was pretty cool. So I made them do some shots together. And there's also one scene which is there in the Google Drive, but I haven't have it here. Like they are kissing each other during totality. So and it was really nice of them when I asked them, "Hey, do you guys want this pose?" They said, "Thanks for the idea." So we are going to do that. But so this is me, And this is my friend's friend. He was doing different weird poses. I told, okay, do whatever you want. But this was the other setup where I had set it up on the portrait mode so that I could capture more of the sky. Uh, this is 24 to 70 mm on f8 and at 24 mm. Where's that? No, I checked on my other lenses too. So the problem, yes, okay. So there was a heavy dew formation on this night. And despite me having the dew heaters on these lenses, I still had the issue that the dew was constantly forming. So I had to wipe them off. So you're probably seeing that because it is elevated because those street lights were pretty bright. And the exposure was 2 seconds. So there was a really lot of light gathering from the horizon. Unfortunately, I couldn't do anything about that because I was juggling between three cameras and also helping my friends. So at some point, I was like, okay. So the next one is something which I really like doing is the infographic. So I'm going to show you in a bit. Yeah. So I'll just start with this. So I was thinking it was pretty cool, like how you imagine the moon is moving through the umbral shadow of Earth, which is projected into the space. So if I'm able to find what is a circle of umbra and try to have the disks of the moon at various stages during the eclipse align according to the shadow of the Earth, it will form a cool picture because it tells me how the moon was actually moving. So the moon was actually moving this way. So it was actually moving from here to here. You would expect that the moon will be ascending, so it will be going this way, but it actually was going from this way to this way, and that's because the rate of rotation of Earth is much faster than how much is the moon, going around the Earth. So yeah, yeah. So it is actually going from here to here. So it was pretty cool. I didn't understand it until I actually simulated that. So there are few other simulation videos in APOD which they have done a really good job. They got featured. They actually have a time lapse video of how the moon is moving from here, going into the umbral region, and then coming out. So then I like to annotate. So I did that. So the moon, so this corresponds to the eclipse phase at 8:10 p.m., which is like the mid eclipse phase of the partial phase. So, and then this is the point where it just enters the umbral region of the shadow. So this sort of totality. So if you can see the brightness here is because it's still in the periphery of the umbral region and it is giving that glow. And this is the mid eclipse. That's when they say the maximum eclipse. It's right in the center of the like this umbral region. And yeah. Sorry, I don't get you. Yeah, I have made it very faint because that was not the point. Like I just wanted to show that. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. 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 So maybe I can make it better. Yes. Yeah. So that's why I don't know if you noticed even I'll show you back the images. So the top portion of the moon was still pretty bright compared to the bottom ones. That is because this eclipse was not like a complete pass through the center of the Earth's umbra, but slightly going on the top. So there's a phenomenon like which makes it look a little bit blue in color. There's some scattering of light. I don't remember the name of it. So, but then I did see some blue colors showing up, but I don't see it here probably the projector. And then this is the end of the totality. So you can again see it's a little bit, you know, towards the edges. And then I caught the last frame, which is like the mid partial eclipse when it's a receding phase. And how did I derive this diameter? So this diameter is 2.6 times the diameter of the moon. How I derived it is a little crazy. Is this diagram? So this is the sun. This is the moon. Sorry, that is the moon. So stellarium gives the distance on any given day, any moment. So I took that. It also gives the AU, the absolute unit how far the Earth is from Sun, and then so that is this distance, and you know this distance, and then I calculated a series, and you know the size of Earth, you know the size of Sun, I know the diameter of the Moon. So I had to create this complex uh, diagram to find the angle subtended here, and this is the urban shell. So I was able to calculate this distance in terms of how much it is in relation to the size of the moon or the radius of the moon. So this turned out to be 2.6. I don't know where it is down. So this is the final. So this is the 4,738 kilometers. That is the projection of Earth's shadow. At that point, when they all align together. So that then I didn't trust my instinct of this is the radius of the Earth shadow. So I confirmed it with few journals online, so they kind of matched. So I took that as the radius, and then I draw the circle, and it kind of matched. So I thought it was an approximation. I'm not saying it is precise, but so I like to do. Sorry. Yeah, so I might be slightly off maybe here. Uh, yeah, so but when I view from the Earth, you're taking the orthogonal projection, so which has to be a circle, right? Uh, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, so this is just like a, I get like probably it might be like a oval projection slightly from the point of view of what you're looking at. But yeah, so like Michael Collins did. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Dan. If I can survive the space, probably. So, so I took the key phases of the eclipse, and I like doing infographic, as I said before. So, I thought it will be a good way to educate different key phases of the eclipse and show how it looked through my lens. So that is the beginning of the totality. Sorry, partial eclipse, the mid partial eclipse, just close towards the end of the partial eclipse, and then the beginning of total eclipse, mid eclipse, and then end of the total eclipse, and then this beginning of the start of the partial eclipse. So you see this edge getting brighter, and then the mid eclipse, and finally the umbral eclipse ends. Along with the time in Pacific Standard Time, so that I can remember in future if what times they were all taken. Sorry. Yeah. So these were all all the infographics were all done in Photoshop with layers and like annotations. Maybe I can have like another session. I can show you guys like how I did it. Yeah, I did. There's one frame I want to show you, but I didn't focus much on HDR because I wanted to. Yeah, yeah. I wanted to show the bite of the moon because anyway, if everything is like HDR, this is anyway like a full moon. I just wanted to show phases, so I just didn't prefer to have the HDR frames. Thank you. So this is like a crazy one. This just shows the progression of the eclipse, but it's too huge. I wouldn't share it with journals because it's impossible to, you know, show them. It's like too long. But I just thought it's pretty cool to see like how the eclipse progressed. Yeah. So Preston, it took me 12 days. That's why I just shared right after the eclipse, I shared probably one short time lapse and I was just dormant for like 2 weeks in Feb. So yeah, thanks. And if you ask me to go back and edit, I'm going to say I'm going to give you all the files. You edit whatever you want. I'm just going to go away because I'm done with this. It's like a lot of time. Uh, but so the next one, I'm going to show you the composites. Uh, so yeah, this is the one, like, if you guys remember the one shot with all of us pointing at the moon during totality. So I combined that with all the rising phases. So it starts from the penumbral eclipse. So I have some notes here. So it has like around 68 frames spaced 3 minutes apart from 5:43 p.m. to 9:09, from full moon rise to max of totality. So as you can see, the initial ascent is all clouded by the clouds, and the moon looks like a blob. And Baswan was the one who told me like it looks like a giant sword in the sky trying to cut all three of us. So when I look at it, I say, yeah, probably it looks like a sword. Uh, and the next one. So this I think is serious, and this is some I don't know what that is. I forgot. Maybe Procyon, probably yeah. And it's one of the stars of Orion, probably, but I may be wrong. Or the stars below it. Uh, and this is the one uh, with my friend and his girlfriend. So this was shot with my other camera, which was set on the portrait mode. So this was shot at the same 3 minutes interval during the same time frame as I shot the other one. And I thought it was pretty cool, like them, like looking at the sky and you know, astonished by what they're seeing up there. And it was quite spectacular, to be honest. Like, I witnessed one during 2015, but it was just for 2 minutes because the clouds literally took over the skies right after the totality in New York. And this is the first time I was able to see the real passage of the eclipse from penumbral to penumbral. So I'm just lucky that everything went well. So the next one is uh, yeah. So there's a composite which I did with my GoPro. It looks like daytime again. As I mentioned, it was all taken in JPEG. I just couldn't change the settings and it was just too much, so I just left it as this. So this is 550 frames to document from start to finish of the eclipse. So I can see the initial ascent is all bloated, like a lot of passing clouds. And also there's this thing, if you see this, there's a ring here, which is the lunar halo, which I thought was pretty amazing. I haven't seen that before. Sounds lame, but then this is the first time I saw it. I was like, oh wow, there's some good news to having clouds passing now and then. And then, like, this was the totality, and there was a cloud cover here, which will miss that transition. And then it's not obvious here, but I could see a lunar corona here, which I thought it was pretty cool. And then, the rest of the face. So these are all 550 frames imported into Photoshop as layer, and I just tagged them. And finally, I think I have few other things I wanted to show. Yeah, so as I told you, the single frame from that shot, you can see the lunar halo was looking pretty cool. Uh, and yeah, so I think they are all standing here wondering when it's going to clear up. And the next one, I don't know if you're able to see. I see a change in color here. Looks like a nice rainbow, small rainbow around this moon. And at this time, the moon was on the penumbral eclipse, so it was completely out of the partial phase. Oh, this is like a exhaust pipe or something. And it was very close to. So this is the GoPro. So if there's any object close to it, it will accentuate and make it look really good. The one on the left there. Yeah. So that's a building. I think it's a Samsung building there. So they have some, I don't know, so floodlights on top of it. And this is like a complete 360 degree. So that's why it's called like 360 degree camera. Uh, yeah. And yeah, so Preston, I just put one HDR frame because this was probably the only time I did the HDR. So it's comprised of two images, one exposed for the bright part so that I can get the details right and the shadow. And I think it was during the mid eclipse phase. So it was really hard for me to make this surface, look as if there's a smoother transition. I struggled a lot in post processing of this, and after doing this, I realized I'll probably never do an HDR on my own again because, especially when it's like this, like a first quarter or mid eclipse phase, it's really hard because it's too bright for you. Because when I'm exposing for this part, this thing is all blown up, and it makes it extremely hard to get the details. But I did something, and I just left it like that here. So few things. So challenges. So that concludes all the pictures I wanted to show you guys. So few things I just wanted to talk about is the challenges. So the one thing which I mentioned was the dew formation. It was like really hard for me to control the dew despite having the dew heater I bought from Amazon. I can share links later. It was really hard to keep an eye on each of the three cameras and ensure that they are still not having any dew formation and causing issues. And the other thing is I have this tool, automation tool called EOS backyard EOS, which helps you automate the exposures by giving different how many frames you want to take at these exposures and stuff like that. So I wanted to do that by simulating having all these three cameras set run through my backyard EOS, but unfortunately, my laptop's battery died, and there was no AC power outlet there. So I just told I'm just going to do it manually. So I used my intervalometer, and the other thing was uh, I realized that maybe I should do a dry run of all these when I'm using such a complex setup that I won't feel stressed on the day of doing the lunar, imaging. But eventually, I ended up doing that is the time when I had to do the images. So I feel I would have been a lot comfortable if I had done a dry run before that. So probably I will keep that in mind for the upcoming solar eclipse. But then, yes, so other than that, yeah, lugging all those gears was a tough thing because I had to carry close to like around 40 pounds uh, of stuff to the rooftop, and they didn't have like elevator, so it was like a 3 stairs up I had to carry. So, so to travel light is another thing which I struggle with. So that is something which I have to get better at. And with that, I just wanted to share few things which I think I should thank all of you. Uh, is the award which I got like first week of May on an annual event of AAA. So it was really kind of everyone and also the board to award me the Astro Notator. Uh, so because I like to annotate things, so probably that's why. So it means a lot. Actually, I have gotten few features in magazines and stuff like that, including astronomy, but I just felt this is by far the best accolade I have ever got, and it means a lot because it's coming from you guys who set a high bar for doing anything in astronomy, and that has improved me a lot, both as a person and also an imager over the last 3 years. So just wanted to thank you, everyone. So that concludes